Ladies and gentlemen, there is something deeply profound about the concept of timing, and there is no greater timing than God's perfect timing. We live in a world that demands immediacy, where everything is moving at an unrelenting pace. We want things now, today, right this instant. But God operates on a time that is beyond our comprehension, a time that is perfect and designed for our highest good. His timing is not bound by the constraints of the clock, and if we understand that, we can walk with patience in a way that will transform our lives. Patience, my friends, is not a passive waiting for things to happen. It is not a resignation to the idea that things are beyond our control. No, patience is a powerful spiritual discipline. It is a sign of trust, a declaration of faith that says, I believe that God is in control, and I trust that He will bring everything to pass at the right time. When you learn to be patient, you are not just waiting in vain. You are aligning your spirit with God's purpose, and in doing so, you are saying, I trust His process, and I trust that He knows what is best for me. This is not an easy thing, because the world tells us to rush, to take matters into our own hands, to make things happen. But God teaches us a different way. He teaches us that there is power in patience. We must understand that the waiting period is not a delay, it is an appointment. When you're waiting on God, it is not wasted time. God does not waste time. That period of waiting is His preparation ground for your life. It is in the waiting that you are being prepared for what He has for you. Think about the process of a seed growing into a tree. That seed does not sprout overnight. It takes time, it needs nurturing, it needs the right environment. So too does God use the waiting period to prepare us, to refine us, to strengthen us for the blessings He is about to pour into our lives. It is in the waiting that He teaches us resilience, humility, and dependence on Him. While we wait, God is at work shaping our character, building our capacity, and ensuring that we are ready for the blessing we seek. And let me tell you, the rewards of patience are beyond measure. When you wait on God's timing, what you receive is not just good, it is perfect. The blessings that God has for you are tailored specifically to fit your life, your needs, your purpose. In the waiting, you might wonder why things aren't happening as quickly as you hoped. But what you don't see in that moment is the greater blessing that is coming your way. Patience teaches us to wait for the fullness of what God has promised. It teaches us to trust that God's delay is not a denial, it is His perfect preparation. And when the time is right, He will deliver it to you in a way that exceeds all expectations. The greatest things in life come not when we rush, but when we trust in God's timing. Now, the most important aspect of this journey is trust in the process. Trust that when God is silent, He is not absent. Trust that when things are not moving at the pace you desire, He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail of your life. Trust that His timing is always for your benefit, even when you can't see it. It is when we trust God's process that we find peace in the waiting. We stop worrying, we stop stressing, and we stop trying to force things to happen. Instead, we learn to rest in His promise, knowing that He will never leave us, never fail us, and never forsake us. When you trust in God's perfect timing, you no longer have to rush, because you know that everything is unfolding just as it should, and in the right moment, everything will come together. Patience in God's timing is not just about waiting, it is about positioning yourself for the fullness of His will. It is a mindset that says, I know what God has for me is good, and I will wait, I will trust, and I will prepare for it. When we align ourselves with God's perfect timing, we align ourselves with His purpose, and there is no greater place to be than in the center of God's will. So I encourage you today, whatever you are waiting for, whatever you are trusting God for, take a moment to reflect on His perfect timing. Know that while you wait, you are being prepared. Know that in the process, God is doing something in you, through you, and for you that will lead to a blessing greater than anything you could imagine. And when it comes, when the moment arrives, know that it will be worth every second of the wait. Trust His timing. Trust His process. And most of all, trust that His plan for your life is perfect. Wait in patience, for in the fullness of time, everything will come together according to His divine purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, understanding God's timing is one of the most powerful revelations you can have in your life. It is a truth that will change the way you live, the way you think, and the way you approach every challenge and opportunity. We often find ourselves anxious, frustrated, or impatient because we want things to happen now. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to expect immediate results, to rush through life, to get ahead, and to seize opportunities without delay. But God operates on a different rhythm. His timing is perfect. And it is through understanding His timing that we can experience peace, fulfillment, and trust in His process. You see, when we talk about God's timing, we're talking about more than just a sequence of events or a clock ticking away. We're talking about a divine orchestration that goes beyond our understanding. God is not bound by time as we are. He created time. He holds time in His hands, and He knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of everything we go through. He sees the full picture. And when we begin to grasp this, we realize that His timing is not meant to frustrate us, but to prepare us. God's timing is not about moving things according to our personal schedule. It's about moving things according to His plan for our ultimate good. We must recognize that in His perfect timing, everything aligns in ways that are beyond our imagination. How many times have you found yourself thinking, why hasn't this happened yet? Why am I still waiting? It can feel like we are standing still, stuck in the same place, unsure of when things will shift. But the truth is, while we may feel stuck, God is at work behind the scenes, weaving together the threads of our lives in ways we cannot yet see. The waiting period is not a denial, it is preparation. It's in the waiting that God is refining you, molding you, shaping your character, and preparing you to receive the blessings He has for you. His timing is never late, never early, it's always right on time. The challenge is not in waiting, the challenge is in trusting that what He is doing behind the scenes is greater than anything we could have imagined. When we understand that God's timing is perfect, we stop trying to force things to happen on our own. We stop rushing, we stop worrying, we stop trying to control the outcome. Instead, we begin to trust in the process. And as we do, we find that God's timing has always been at work in our favor. It's like a master artist working on a painting. While the work is in progress, it might seem like a series of strokes that don't make sense, but when the painting is finished, we see the beauty of the full picture. That's how God works in our lives. He is constantly at work, adding stroke after stroke, creating something magnificent that in time will be revealed. It's also important to understand that God's timing isn't just about the arrival of blessings or the fulfillment of promises. It's about growth. It's about transformation. God is more concerned with who you become during the wait than with what you're waiting for. Patience, humility, faith, and trust are developed in the waiting. These qualities are what will enable you to handle the blessing, to walk in the purpose, and to steward the opportunities when they arrive. If you rush ahead and try to bring things into your life before they're ready, you might miss the important lessons God is teaching you in the process. His timing ensures that you are fully prepared for everything that is coming. In moments of doubt, when it feels like nothing is happening, remember that God is at work even when we don't see it. You don't have to understand everything, just trust Him. Trust that the doors He is opening for you are the right ones. Trust that the doors He is closing are for your protection and your growth. Trust that the time for you to step into what He has for you will come at exactly the right moment. The truth is, understanding God's timing will bring a sense of peace and freedom that cannot be found anywhere else. It takes the pressure off you. It removes the burden of having to figure everything out. You can rest knowing that God is in control, that He has everything mapped out, and that His plan is perfect. You can stand confidently, even in the waiting, knowing that in due season, everything will unfold according to His will. When we learn to trust in God's timing, we experience life on a deeper level. We stop chasing things out of fear or anxiety, and we begin to move in sync with His will, knowing that His plan is always better than our own. Understanding His timing doesn't mean that everything will always be easy, but it does mean that we can walk through challenges with faith, knowing that we are not alone. God is with us in every step, and His timing is always for our benefit. So today I encourage you to embrace God's timing. Trust that He is working behind the scenes for your good. Know that the wait is not a waste and the delays are not denials. You are being prepared for something great. Keep your faith strong, your patience steady, and your heart open. The time will come, and when it does, you'll see that everything unfolded exactly as it was meant to. Patience is often viewed as simply the ability to wait, but in reality, patience is far more than that. It is a spiritual discipline, a practice that shapes our character and strengthens our faith. It is not something we simply have, it is something we actively develop and nurture as we walk through life's challenges. Patience, at its core, is the ability to endure without growing discouraged, to stay calm and composed in the face of adversity, and to trust that God's timing is always right. It is about having the strength to remain unwavering when the world around us seems to be in a rush, when we feel the pressure to act now or to make quick decisions. In a society where everything is fast-paced, where convenience and instant gratification are the norms, practicing patience can seem like a revolutionary act. But when we engage with patience as a spiritual discipline, we step away from the frantic pace of the world and enter a space of trust, contentment, and peace. It requires us to shift our focus away from what we want and place it on what God is doing in our lives in that moment. Too often, we are so consumed by our desires and the urgency of our circumstances that we miss out on the lessons that patience offers. But when we take a step back, slow down, and practice patience, we start to see the deeper purpose behind our waiting. Patience allows us to cultivate the ability to wait with grace, without bitterness or frustration. It teaches us to trust in God's sovereignty and His perfect will for our lives. When we can embrace the uncertainty of the moment, knowing that God is working in ways we cannot always see, patience becomes not just an act of endurance, but an act of faith. We begin to realize that waiting is not a waste of time, but a crucial part of our spiritual development. During these times of waiting, God is working in us, refining us, and preparing us for what lies ahead. He is strengthening our hearts, deepening our trust, and building our perseverance. True spiritual patience is not passive, it is active. It's about choosing to remain faithful and hopeful even when we can't see the outcome. It's about choosing to trust in God's timing even when it doesn't align with our own. It's about choosing to let go of control and trusting that God knows what's best for us. This is not an easy task, and it takes discipline to build this kind of patience. It requires us to practice humility, to submit ourselves to God's will, and to surrender our own plans in favor of His greater purpose. We must learn to recognize that God's ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. When we submit to this truth, we begin to see that patience is not only about waiting, but also about learning to align ourselves with God's purpose in every moment. Through patience, we learn to endure the trials that come our way, to face challenges with strength, and to respond with faith instead of fear. It teaches us to embrace the journey no matter how long it takes, because we trust that God is always with us. As we walk through life, we are constantly being shaped and molded by our experiences, and patience helps us to grow in wisdom, compassion, and understanding. It reminds us that everything has its time, and there is a season for everything under the sun. When we embrace patience as a spiritual discipline, we begin to understand that everything we go through, good or bad, has a purpose. Patience allows us to see that God's plan for our lives is unfolding exactly as it should. As we continue to develop patience as a spiritual discipline, we begin to cultivate a deeper relationship with God. We grow in trust, and we learn to rely on His wisdom and understanding instead of our own limited perspective. We start to see the world through a different lens, one that is focused on God's love, His guidance, and His perfect plan for our lives. And in this we find peace, joy, and fulfillment, not in the things we are waiting for, but in the knowledge that we are being shaped and prepared for something far greater than we can imagine. Waiting. It's a word that often brings with it frustration, uncertainty, and impatience. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, the idea of waiting can seem counterintuitive, even unnatural. We are constantly told to go after what we want, to push forward, and to make things happen. But what if I told you that the purpose of waiting is not just about the time you spend in limbo, but the transformation that takes place within you during that period? What if I told you that waiting is one of the most powerful experiences in your journey? When you wait, you are not simply sitting still doing nothing. No, waiting is an active process, one that works on your character, your spirit, and your understanding of God's purpose in your life. In the quiet, in the stillness of waiting, you are being shaped, refined, and prepared for something far greater than what you could have imagined. Every second you spend waiting is not wasted. It is part of the journey that leads to a destination designed just for you. It is in the waiting that you begin to grow, to learn, to trust, and to find the strength to face what is ahead. Waiting also builds trust. It's one thing to say you trust God, but it's another to actively trust Him when things aren't happening according to your plan. When you wait, you let go of your need to control and allow God to take the reins. It's a practice in surrender. You are acknowledging that you don't have all the answers, that you don't know when or how things will happen, but you trust that they will. Waiting forces us to confront our fears, our insecurities, and our doubts. It challenges us to believe that God has not forgotten us, that He has a purpose even in the silence. And as we wait, we learn that the timing of our lives is not determined by our calendar, but by God's divine plan. And that plan is always better than anything we could ever orchestrate on our own. In the waiting, we also learn patience, something that this world desperately needs more of. Patience is not just about biding time, it's about endurance, persistence, and strength. It's about the ability to remain faithful and hopeful even when the finish line seems distant, even when the promise is not yet realized. Patience is the muscle that strengthens your resolve and your faith. It teaches you that things worth having don't come easy, that the best things in life take time to build, to grow, and to manifest. And when you finally reach that moment, that destination, you realize that the waiting wasn't just a part of the journey, it was the very thing that made you strong enough to handle what was coming. The purpose of waiting is not just about receiving what you want. It's about becoming who you are meant to be. It's about the transformation that happens when you allow yourself to be molded, shaped, and refined by the process. It's about developing a character that is able to stand firm in the face of adversity and to carry the weight of blessings with grace. You see, God is not just preparing the blessing for you, He is preparing you for the blessing. And in doing so, He is creating something greater in you than you could ever imagine. So the next time you find yourself waiting, take a moment to pause and reflect. Know that you are not just waiting for an event, a job, a person, or a circumstance to change. You are waiting for God to do something remarkable in your life. You are waiting for a breakthrough, for a shift, for a transformation. And in that waiting, you are becoming more than you were before. You are being prepared for the greatness that is to come. Trust the process, trust the timing, and know that the purpose of waiting is not just to get what you want, but to become who you were always meant to be. Patience is often misunderstood. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, patience might seem like a lost virtue, something unnecessary, something that holds us back. We live in a time where everything is at our fingertips: fast food, instant messages, immediate results. But what many fail to understand is that true rewards, the ones that matter most, come not from rushing to the finish line, but from enduring the journey with patience. Patience is the quiet strength that sustains you when the storm hits. It is the calm resolve in the face of uncertainty. It teaches you that there is more to life than the immediate moment, and it reminds you that there is value in the process. When you wait patiently, when you allow things to unfold in their own time, you open yourself up to a deeper, more meaningful experience. The rewards of patience are not merely the results that come after the wait, but the growth, the wisdom, and the strength that are cultivated in the waiting period itself. Patience brings with it a sense of peace that can only come from understanding that the world does not revolve around your timetable. When you wait patiently, you begin to realize that some things simply cannot be rushed. The greatest achievements, the deepest relationships, the most lasting success, these are the things that require time. The rewards of patience are not the fleeting moments of quick fixes or instant success. They are the lasting, foundational changes that occur when you allow yourself to endure the necessary process. Patience refines you, molds you, and shapes you into the person you need to be to handle what is ahead. It builds character and strengthens your resolve. Through patience, you learn that everything happens in its due season. There is a rhythm to life that cannot be ignored. The seeds you plant today may take time to grow, but with patience, you will see them bloom. When you are willing to wait, you are showing faith not just in the process, but in yourself, in your ability to endure, to persist, and to keep moving forward even when the road seems long and uncertain. Patience teaches you that nothing worth having comes easy or quick. It teaches you that true success, true fulfillment is not about what you can get today, but about what you can build over time. The rewards are not always immediate, but they are always worth the wait. Patience also teaches you gratitude. When you have to wait, you begin to appreciate things in a way you never did before. You start to understand the value of the journey, the lessons learned along the way, the small victories that come with each step. You no longer take things for granted because you have learned to recognize the beauty in the process. The waiting becomes part of the reward, and the reward becomes richer because of the patience you demonstrated along the way. You begin to see the bigger picture, and when the rewards finally come, they are so much sweeter because you've earned them. You've paid the price, and you've built a foundation that can support the success you've been waiting for. But perhaps one of the most profound rewards of patience is the growth of your inner strength. Patience is not passive. It is not about sitting idly by and hoping things will happen. Patience is active. It requires you to show up, to persist, and to keep going even when everything inside you wants to quit. It is in this persistence, this resilience, that you find your strength. Every moment of waiting, every challenge you face becomes an opportunity to grow stronger, to build your character, and to become the person you were always meant to be. Through patience, you develop the fortitude to handle whatever life throws your way. It is in the waiting, in the testing of your endurance, that you discover the depths of your strength. And ultimately, the greatest reward of patience is the realization that life is not a race. It is a journey. The value lies not in the destination, but in the way we live the journey. When we learn to be patient, we stop focusing so much on the end goal and start appreciating each step along the way. We begin to see the beauty in the struggle, the growth in the waiting, and the rewards in the process itself. The rewards of patience are not just the end result, they are the transformation that happens within you. And when you arrive at your destination, you are no longer the person you were when you started the journey. You are stronger, wiser, and more equipped to handle whatever comes next. This is the true reward of patience. It is not just what you achieve, but who you become in the process. So embrace patience. Recognize that the rewards it brings are not always immediate, but they are always worth it. Trust in the process, trust in the journey, and most of all, trust in the person you are becoming along the way. Because in the end, it's not just about reaching the destination, it's about who you become as you travel the road. And the rewards of patience will always be there, shaping you into the person you were always meant to be. Patience is not just a virtue, it is the foundation upon which lasting success and true fulfillment are built. It shapes us, molds us, and transforms us into the people we need to be for the challenges ahead. As we endure the trials, we build strength, wisdom, and resilience that no quick fix can provide. The rewards of patience are not just in what we achieve at the end, but in who we become along the way. So remember, it's not about rushing through life to get to the destination. It's about appreciating every step of the journey, knowing that each moment of waiting is an opportunity for growth. Trust in the process, trust in the timing, and trust in yourself. Patience will reward you in ways you never imagined, shaping you into someone capable of handling whatever comes next and making the destination even more worthwhile when you finally reach it.